like to greet all of you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum. This is Brother Steve Muhammad for Refuge Depot, and we are once again talking about winter preparedness. A lot of us, we see the extreme weather taking place all across not just America, but throughout the world. We shouldn't believe that winter is going to be any less extreme. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, and I'm going to read just a little bit out of this book called The Fall of America. And on page 149, woe to America. Her day has arrived. She will not heed the warning. I begged her to let us be separated from her on a little territory and a state to ourselves, and to let us be responsible for our own survival, only to get from under her injustice. But she refused. So it was with Pharaoh in the time of Moses. God went down to Egypt to make Israel and her enemies, the Egyptians, an example for a future people, so that they may serve as a sign of what we see going on in America today. The four great judgments that Allah God promises to destroy America with are now coming upon her: hail, snow, drought, earthquake. Allah God has reserved his treasures of snow and ice to be used against the wicked country America in the day of battle and war. These are some of Allah's weapons, the storms that we see going on. And so we know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us in his illuminating book, A Torchlight for America, that God uses the forces of nature as weapons of war. And these forces of nature are so devastating that even the weapons that the United States of America has, Russia has, all these countries have, none of them compare to the weapons of war that God uses, which are the forces of nature. We saw a good example of that in Hawaii. We saw a good example of that in Libya. We see a good example of that throughout the world. And so we should prepare ourselves and our families, because we also saw that in Texas. And so let's look at a little bit about what happened in Texas and what is happening throughout the country. When we look at the antiquated power grid, America hasn't invested at all in her infrastructure. That's why you see bridges falling. That's why you see train derailments. All of these things are due to a lack of funding. And as we already know, most of that funding is going into the military. And a lot of it is now going into the war in Ukraine. So let us begin to look out for ourselves. So I just wanted to point out just a few items that you should begin to stock up on and store. Of course, you should stock up on non-perishable foods and water. But we're going to go into a few items. And what we're going to talk about is what you should have in your microenvironment. And if you don't know what a microenvironment is, then I have wrote a book on winter preparedness. And I urge everyone to purchase that book, not because I wrote it, but because it has a lot of valuable information in it. And we'll flash that up on the screen, and you can purchase that book in the link below. But one of the things and you'll also be able to get a link to these items that I'm showing you today. I'll go ahead and start off with a solar powered radio, but this is more than a solar powered radio. This little thing has a flashlight on it. All right. It has a radio on it, of course, so that you can hear what's going on. And this is in case there's a power outage. So we're talking about winter preparedness, but in this episode, what we're talking about is if the power goes out. And I'm going to show you just a few items, and I'll continue to show you more. So I definitely would love for you to subscribe to the channel, like and share it with friends and family, and loved ones. So when we look at this, if the solar is not enough, then they have what we see is a crank, and you can crank this bad boy. And if somehow this doesn't work out, then you can crank it, and that will give it power as well. Another thing that you should have in your microenvironment, because that's what we're talking about now, because when the power goes out, you're going to need to situate yourself in an area of your home that you can keep warm. So another thing that you'll need in your microenvironment is this light. This light right here is one that you can plug in, but you can also charge it up. But you can also, when it's charged, you can hang it in your tent, and we'll show you, we'll have a tent. But this also is like if you have to go outside, this can be used as a device to alert your family and friends if you're out in the woods or someplace like that. So it's got a dim and it's got a strobe light on it, so that they can find you if you get lost. And so we'll have that right there in the description below. It's a very good item to have. And one other item that we're going to show, or two other items that we're going to show. One is my buddy. Oh. And I'm out here in the woods. I'm out here in the park. It's beautiful out here, but it rains, so nobody's out here, right? Because they don't want to get their feet wet. And so this is a perfect time to come out here to the park. So here is my buddy. And this is, believe it or not, this is a propane heater. All right. But what's special about this portable buddy, Mr. Heater, is that you can literally burn this inside of your microenvironment without rolling the windows down. Now, of course, even though it says that, I would still roll the windows down. All right. I wouldn't roll them down all the way, but put a little crack in it and put this maybe somewhere close to it. But this right here I've used. This is a very good advice. I love propane because propane is silent. So one of the things that I'll show you next time is a propane stove. It's got one eye on it, and you can use the propane to cook with. The beautiful thing about propane is that it's silent. And when you have a generator, generators are very loud, right? And they let your neighbors know that you have the generator. And if it goes for an extended period of time, of course, and they're cold, guess what they're going to do when they hear your generator crank on that's keeping you warm? They're going to come, and they might be desperate enough to get your generator from you. So this is one of the another reasons why, I want you to share this with your friends, your family, your neighbors, is because we need to look out for each other, especially us as Black people, because we know what happened during Hurricane Katrina, right? They put us in the Superdome and left us there. So we don't want any type of incident like that to happen today. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, hurry, pull your resources and do something for yourself. Any Black man and woman that can't understand that today, you are truly lost. All right. Also, look at getting you a sleeping bag. And the reason why, of course, you want to get a sleeping bag, or you can get one of those inflatable beds, right? But what you want to do is you want to put a barrier between you and the floor, because you remember this summer where in some areas it was so hot you saw squirrels that were, I think they called it, splaned out over the concrete, right? So in essence, their body was so hot, but they were able to find some asphalt or some concrete that was in the shade that was cool. So their body was able to cool down. Well, the same thing will happen in the winter if you lay on the cold ground. The cold ground in your body will begin to equalize, or in essence, the ground will begin to siphon the heat out of your body. You need to have a barrier between you and the ground. And so you should get you a sleeping bag, or you should get you one of those inflatable beds. So if the power goes out, some battery backup devices that you should have. If you have your battery backup device, solar on it, it has a flashlight. This is a good, excellent device that you can have in your micro environment when the power goes out. And like I said, board games, Uno, Monopoly, Yahtzee, whatever, have some of those games in your tent. And it's a good way, of course, hopefully it doesn't happen, but it's a good way. Like the pandemic, some of it was not too bad because it brought families together. So this is just a little small portable flashlight. This can clip onto your keychain. This can also, it's got a crank on it, and it's an excellent little device that you can use if you need to get around the house or whatever. You can crank it up, or like I said, you can just lay it out in the sun. So with that, and I also wanted to say, while you are in your micro environment, get you a book. And the books that I would suggest that you get are the books that are written by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and get that knowledge of self, knowledge of the time, and the knowledge of what must be done in this time. Remember, from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, black man and black woman, you are the people that God is after, not to destroy. You are the people that God is after to make the cornerstone of his new kingdom. And we have our Moses, we have our Aaron in the person of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So whether you want to believe it or not, when that ark was put together, there wasn't any other ark that you could get on. When Moses was giving the children of Israel a way out, there wasn't I never read of any other Moses that had an alternate route. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, if you overlay the history of Moses, the history of the prophets, peace and the blessings be upon them, if you overlay them with the history of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and you and I, black man and woman, in the hells of North America, if you overlay that history with the history you have in the scriptures, it would fit like a glove. You are, and I am, we are the people who have been in a strange land among strange people for 400 years. You are, and I am, and we are the people whose names have been changed and whose language have been changed, like the people of Daniel. You are, I am, and we are the people who were sold into slavery by our own, like Joseph. You are, I am, and we are the people who are like Lazarus or like the prodigal son, And if you read about those histories, you know that a great famine is coming as well. But we're going to get into that at another time. Once again, to support this program, we want you to like, we want you to follow, we want you to share, but we also want you to purchase our Winter Survival book. It's got so many facts in it. It's going to help you know how to winterize your home. It's got in it how to winterize your car. It's got in it emergency contact numbers. It's got in it how to prepare if the power goes out. And brothers and sisters, I already talked about in the beginning how the grid is so antiquated that it's almost a surety that the power is going to go out. Because what happens, because the power grid is so antiquated, when everybody begins to turn on their heater, that puts a strain on those grids. And so what happens if one grid goes down, then it could possibly cause what's called a cascading effect or a domino effect, where it overloads another grid. right? And then you have a major blackout like you will read in the book. I'm going to go ahead and just put up a few examples of the warnings that are given by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
So I said to you, because this is necessary, you're in the judgment now. The storms and the earth shaking on the west coast, it's going to move all over the country. Right up and down the center, the people will be hurt again. Watch what I tell you, because this is backed up by the Quran. It teaches you that Allah will drive them into the center of the country. These earthquakes going to happen all throughout the country in Illinois. Small ones will come around here, around us, to let you that is little kind of crooked know that you can be gotten too. Go ahead, dear Holy Father. But according to the Holy Quran, the people will be driven from both sides of the country into the center of the country. This is going on now. But I said to you, you make haste and flee to Allah. Flee for your refuge in Him. Nowhere will help you against Him. But I want you to pay good attention at what is going on. Lots of people's lives lost by terrific storms.
That's right. That's right. Right.
They keep going on. They're going on now in some parts of the country. The Bible got to be fulfilled. He frightened them with his storm. And there was earthquakes in the various places. Think over that. It's all written. It's all put before our eyes. Holy Quran teaches the same. The Bible goes so far as to say that God says that He will spin all of His arrows at the devil. He won't have no other punishment to use on him. The arrows mean punishment. He said the devil has treated us so terribly bad that there is no way to punish him to get even with him. Be yourself. Love black. Do justice to black. Don't treat black like white treated black. Be good to black. You're the brother of black. You're the mother of black. You're the father of black. Be good to black. That's yourself. Don't tell me be good to all of them because you love the devil. How can you tell me that when God don't say He's going to be good to the devil? I love everybody, you say. I love everybody. One of the white people to say, don't think I'm not loving you. We don't give a cuss whether you love him or not. We don't say anything like that. He's no God of ours. He's no brother of ours. He was not made a brother of ours. He was made an enemy of ours. And I pray to Allah, hurry up for Allah, operate on us, take him away from us. At this time, I said to you that I was subject, operate on the nation, is now have come to a close.
This is the day of battle. Gather all nations down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. There will I plead with them for my people, whom they have sold God is marching today. Boston, have you dug out yet? Is it cold enough for you now? Planes can't fly. Ambulance can't come. Police cars can't ride. Too much snow. See, you don't control that. The Bible says, I stored up snow in the north to bring down in the day of battle. This is the day. It's going to get rough and rougher. Snow on the East Coast, flood on the West, fire, tornadoes, hurricane, earthquakes. You ain't seen nothing yet. Nothing.
So with that, may God continue to bless you with the light of truth and understanding. And I will leave you as I greeted you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.